Hello my fellow freedom builders and welcome back to the channel. Now I know that all the media are filled with the presidential election from United States that is tomorrow, but it is Monday and therefore we're gonna have a Mining Monday as we are getting used to every single Monday. If you haven't done already, remember to subscribe and like and all that jazz beneath the video. And if you know people that are interested in mining, gold, silver, anything around mining, then please let them know about this channel. Alright, the agenda for today is just the quick introduction here to what we are, gold and silver, dollar as we normally do. Just have a look at the trend here. Also the two major ETFs here, the GDX and the GDXJ. We're going to have a look at Hecla Mining if you want to be exposed into silver mining. We're going to have a look at some major gold producers, and as I promised last week, I'll also have a brief look at the Golden Tag Resources, which is also an interesting little play if you believe that the silver can go up explosively. So let's have a look at quickly the gold, silver and dollar here. The gold here, that is the spot. As you can see, it keeps in this bull flag, as I have called it. Some would say it is the beginning of a downwards trend, but as you can see here on the daily chart, it is moving nicely within the channel here. But over the last weeks here, we can definitely see some sort of leveling out, and this might be a new higher bottom. Now, if it breaks up, and especially if it goes up above the 1930-ish here, then I think we can definitely say that the gold has started a new leg upwards. Now the question is, how far up can it go? And nobody knows, of course. That depends on a lot of things, the overall economy, the dollar, a lot about how much people want to hedge for inflation and so on. But a reasonable place to start looking for a target is that if you go for a flagpole like this, and this is a bull flag, if this is the bottom, then we could see gold around 2,500. Now, I'm not saying that it is going up there, but this is the rule of thumb. You take the flagpole here to the flag and you put it up from the bottom of the lowest price here, and you get some sort of idea where we could go. Now, it's not like we are going to be here in February 2021. It's just that this is what we are aiming for if we get the breakout here. And if we get the breakout, of course, we will see a spike in many of the mining stocks. Silver is exactly the same picture here. We are just around 24 right now at the spot price. So, yeah, very interesting to see what will happen here over the next week or two. If we're looking at the dollar, then here we see some of the explanation as to why the gold and silver hasn't been pressured upwards. Because I kind of thought actually that we were going to break here last week, but nobody knows until we have seen the chart. And one of the reasons why gold and silver has been pressured a bit down is that the DXY here, the dollar index, has been going up, and we know there's this inverted correlation between the dollar and the gold and the silver. So when the gold goes up, there is some pressure downwards on the gold and silver. So that is how it is, and I'm pretty confident that you can see here when we're talking about the GDX. I was talking about this support area that we would very much like to hold, and we were just tipping down below it, but right now we are getting a bit up, and if the gold price should go upwards and break its own bull flag, then I'm pretty sure that we'll also see the GDX in a very violent upwards movement here. The same, of course, with the GDXJ, that is the miners, that is just holding its support area here, and that is the former top here I have put in as a support area. There's not really any science to this. It is just looking for former tops or bottoms here, and then we can draw this area. So this one seems to be holding off pretty good. And again, the exact same thing. If gold goes up through its channel, then we'll also see this one spike up. No doubt about that. All right, let's get to the next point here on the agenda, and that is Hecla Mining. Now, I have shown you this chart of Hecla Mining before and said that it might go all the way down to 36, 37 down here, because that was where we had a support area. It is in a downwards channel right now, and just as with gold and silver, you can see that we have this flag here, and if that is broken up to the top net right now, we can see that there is a potential of going up somewhere around 100% up to the area around 8.5, 9 up here. Now, last week we found out that Hecla Mining was one of the purest silver producers out there, and therefore we'd like to just give you a quick introduction to the company if you want to allocate some money to silver mining. Now, Hecla Mining is a leading low-cost silver producer, and it operates silver mines in Alaska and Idaho and Mexico. And it is also a growing gold producer with operating mines in Quebec, up in Canada, and in Nevada. There is, of course, their websites here where you can read all about them, but I'll just give you a brief introduction here. And of course, everything you see here today will be linked in the section below. Hecla is interesting because they have a large, very diversified portfolio, and they have very long life assets. And here we're talking about 20 to 30 years when you're looking at how much they have in ground and how much they're picking up every single year. And that is quite rare with 20 to 30 years, and that makes it a very stable producer. Especially when you take into account that most of its assets are actually in the United States. I have talked several times about political risks, and being in the United States is not considered a political risk, no matter what you think of their management over there. Many silver producers have their own main assets in either Mexico or Peru or some sort of combination. And even though they are not high political risk, then it is nowhere near United States status. With an active exploration and development program, the company has actually consistently grown its reserve base for future production, with the 2020 reserves totaling 212 million ounces of silver and somewhat 2.7 million ounces of gold reserves, and calculated using some of the lowest price assumptions in the industry. So that is quite amazing, and it makes it a very stable, solid, long-term play if you want to get into it. Now, Hecla Mining released its preliminary Q3 results last week and reported a 9% increase in silver production year over year, and remains on track to produce over 12.5 million ounces in 2020. However, and there is a big however here, gold production fell off considerably, with ores being stockpiled at the Nevada operations, and another weak quarter from their Casa Berardi in Quebec. So this isn't great news, because we know a lot of the revenue right now and a lot of their earnings come from gold in these companies. So if you want to allocate money into some silver mining, silver producer, then Hecla could be a good play to go into. But actually, just in a second, I'll give you a look at some solid gold miners, and that is where our focus is instead right now. They have been taking quite a big hit the last couple of weeks, but they're still making a lot of money due to the gold price, so that might be somewhere to look. We do have a small silver position in our portfolio, but actually most of that is in the metal. That is in real silver that we have lying around in the bank box. So right now Hecla could be a play, but it's not really our true favorite. So let's try and go to the next point here. If we're saying that Hecla Mining might be an interesting silver play, but we would rather go for the major gold producers, then let's try and have a look at some of these. And for that, I have found a little statistics for you here. And that is the gold producers Q2 20 all-in sustaining cost margin. And this is also often just short AISC. If you see that somewhere, that simply means all of their cost, what are they, and then we compare it to the overall gold price to see what their margins are. And what you can see here is that we have the all-in sustaining cost here in dollars per ounce, and you can see all of the major miners here going from $712 per ounce down to almost $1,200. But just remember that the price is still way above the $1,200 right now, so they're still making money. Here you can see the average gold price they have been realizing here in Q2 20. You can see their profit margin in percentage, and out here you can see their enterprise value to EBITDA. And that is a measurement I usually use instead of the price earning. I think it's a bit more of an honest number. The stocks I'll have a look at here are the ones with the largest margin and the lowest enterprise value to EBITDA. So that means I'm going for the B2 Gold here. I'm going for the Kirkland, the Centerra, looking at the Endeavour here, and also the Kinross. I'll take a single one down here from below, and that is the Newman Corp I just mentioned lastly. But as you can see here, these are going with some huge margins and still trading at some good value, meaning that the enterprise value to EBITDA is actually quite low. So there's some very good money to be made here. I just have a quick look at these from a technical point of view. And if we are starting with the B2 Gold here, then you can see comparing, if we just compare to the gold price, where the gold price has actually taken a big hit here from up around 2070, and right now it is down almost 9%, which is quite a lot. If we're looking at the B2 Gold Corp here, it has more gone sideways, as you can see. It is down 12% here, and you could say, yeah, well, that is more than the overall gold. Yes, it is, but I'm more looking at the overall movement. And here it seems like they are more trading in a box. And every time they hit the bottom of the box, it seems like they are being shot up here. And then the sellers are already up at around 720 up here, and they're selling it down, but the buyers are strong, so they keep buying it. So what I am expecting from the B2 Gold Corp here is, with the good fundamentals, if the gold goes up through the flag we saw before, I think that the B2 Gold Corp is actually going to explode upwards here. When we're looking at the Kirkland Gold, we can more see something like the gold itself. We can see the flagpole, and we can actually see the flag here. Now, in this area where the price is right now, we have seen a lot of movement up and down, finding resistance here. It might be somewhere to find support, but again, it is very much up to the gold price, so it can go further down. And of course, if we're looking at it purely on the technical side, this is not the prettiest chart I have ever seen. Then I actually like the B2 more, because the trend is intact and we are just moving sideways, making ready for another leg up. Whereas the Kirkland Lake Gold here, it is more messy. It's not really a good technical term, but if you can see all of the price movement that have been in this area, it is huge and it is all over the place. So it is a bit more non-trending, if you could say so, and therefore the B2 is a more clean trend. Looking at Centerra, that one has actually broken its uptrend quite significantly. And if we take a regression channel here, that is a statistical tool that draws a channel by itself. We have a regression line and two standard deviations from the midline here on each of them. And when a price breaks down through this, it shows us that we are out of this statistic normal range that it can use its waves inside. So when we break down here, it's actually quite significant. So Centerra Gold, even though the fundamentals are nice, I would definitely wait for some waving up before I start to get interested in that. So by now, the B2 is the most technically interesting. Then we have Endeavour Mining, which also is leaning over. It hasn't broken the trend completely. If it moves up from here, I actually think it can keep within this box. And yeah, the trend is actually still quite intact if we break up now. If you start to break down, the trend is over. And again, it all depends on the gold price. The last one is the Kinross Gold Corp, and if we draw a regression channel on this one as well, you can see that we are just at the bottom of the channel here. So if it turns around here, and I'm mainly looking at the weekly chart, you can look at a daily chart and see that it has been a bit outside. But if we are long-term investors and we want to get into Kinross, then a little movement up from the bottom of this regression channel could be a very strong indication that the buyers are coming in. We have an earlier top here that we are leaning on right now. So moving up from here, that would be a very, very positive picture. Now the last one that was not in the top 5 was the Newmont Corporation. And on the technical side, they're kind of still in an uptrend, but also leaning over. And we really hope that the gold price can help us now to move upwards, because then the long overall trend will be up. I think we can all see here that we have had some accelerating development here. We can see that let me just use another tool here. We can see that it has been accelerating in pace here. And right now it is as if it is breaking out from this. Now moving up from here, we could still see an upwards movement here with higher tops and higher bottoms. Not as fiercely as before, but still very okay. Now the reason why I wanted to bring this one in is simply to show you the solidity of the Newmont Corporation. They just announced this record third quarter of 2020. And when we're looking at that, we can see that they're really making big money. They are raising the dividends with, I think it is 60%. And they are still very much in, they have a lot of cash. And they are saying themselves that even if the gold drops to $1,200, they will still keep this new dividend. So that is very positive. When we're looking at it, we can actually see that they have so much cash, and they will just be building on. They have a huge free cash flow position. As you can see here, they generated, just in the third quarter, they generated $1.6 billion in cash from continuing operations and $1.3 billion in free cash flow. And that is up a lot since last year. And all in all, it is so solid. They are predicting that they, over the next 5 years, can have around I think they said $20 billion in free cash flow. That is about $4 billion per year building up in free cash flow that they can either invest or pay out as dividend or pay up debt if there's anything of that. I just took a screen dump here, and this is from the Newmont CEO. He's actually saying this: free cash flow short to record $1.3 billion in Q3 from just $365 million a year ago in the third quarter in 19. And they say, not 20, it was not 20 as I said, but 19 billion in free cash flow over the next 5 years if gold averages $1,900. And if I must be honest, I'm not really into predictions here, but gold price on average for $900, I think that is in the low end over the next 5 years. I think it will go significantly above that. So that was the large miners. If you were to look at them, the B2 Gold is on top here as with the best margins and the lowest enterprise value. And on the technical analysis side, that is actually the one of the 5 to 6 stocks here that I like the most. But also we had the Kirkland, the Centerra, had the Endeavour, the Kinross, and then the Newmont that we are looking at. All right, the last point for today is the Golden Tag Resources. Now, first of all, taking a look at the chart of Golden Tag Resources, you can see that they have been in this absolutely insane trend. I must admit I was not in here at the bottom, but I could see that I was getting some very good buy signals here. I can see that's now in a rearview mirror. That's always the nicest thing to look at and the easiest way to find the buy signals, of course. But I did get somewhere down here around 0.08, 0.1 here. And then we had the price skyrocket. And I'll tell you in a second some of the reasons here why, but of course some of it was the silver price. Now, what we have seen here lately, it was just about to break out, but then it turned around and went back into this range here. And I'm not completely confident in the stock before it breaks out. Now, there are a lot of good things in Golden Tag Resources, and there are some less good things that I'll discuss today. Of course, I'll also drop a link to all of this below, and we have their newest their investor presentations here that I'll just walk through with you briefly. Now, there is no doubt that Golden Tag Resources have a lot of products in the ground. It has a large silver resource in Mexico at the San Diego project, and it currently hosts just above 230 million ounces of silver equivalent of indicated and inferred. So that is some huge products underground here. Now, if we're taking a look at their presentation, we can see here, let me just zoom in for a second. Here, we can see that it is undervalued to its peers, relative to its peers, when we are basing it on enterprise value towards ounces of silver in the ground. We can see that we have Golden Tag Resources here, and we can see that EV to resources, meaning dollars per ounce of silver equivalent, that is extremely low compared to many of the others. So from a value point of view, if you're looking at what they have in ground, it is actually very, very interesting. Now, another thing that we need to look at, that is the management and the board. And if you remember one of my first videos about this gold mining here on Mining Monday, I mentioned that more than the product in the ground and the political risk and so on, we also needed to look at the quality of the management. And there's no doubt that this is a highly qualified management. They have showed us before that they can build projects like this and sell them off, so that is very nice. As I said, in May they changed the management, and this slide shows the management. You can dive into the different persons themselves. But today, we must say that we have not seen the management put much skin in the game, which is a bit disappointing. If you remember the Capital Gold, where the management teams, they had 20%, some just below 20% of the stocks they owned themselves, bought with their own money. Now, what we can see here, this company has granted, meaning Golden Tag have granted just below 10 million incentive stock options to management and directors, having an exercise price of 0.325 to be exercisable for a period of up to 5 years. And that, of course, is fair enough. You could definitely be motivated by owning stock options, but having your own skin in the game is actually something I do like, especially with these small explorers and juniors here, where when the management actually are willing to put up several $100,000 or $1 million buying stocks with their own hard-earned money, that's something I do like to see. And right now, I am not completely convinced about the management's commitment here. Anyway, when we look at the next slide here, a good thing here on the positive side is that we have Eric Sprott. You might remember that I mentioned him in an earlier video. This Canadian billionaire that is very good at spotting these fast growers here. And he owns 18.6%, so that is a very good size. He actually owns double the size of 6 times the size, I think it is, of the management. So that is a positive. Now on this graph, you can see that the new management went in here, and then there was a big spike up and some movement upwards here, and that was mainly because people had expected that now this would really move somewhere. But what we saw is that the largest spike here came due to the rise in the silver price, and not as much as for the day-to-day running the business. And then it has been moving sideways ever since, and that's because, as far as I can tell, the market is a bit disappointed that nothing more has happened. Now on the next slide here, we can see a bit where they are located and how much they have in the ground and at what quality. And we can see they are here in a big mining district in Mexico, and they have a lot of neighbors here that actually are mining a lot of good products here. As I talked about last week, most silver miners are not just pure silver miners. So here we also see a lot of zinc and a lot of lead in the ground, which is fair enough. And we can see that the neighbor mines are finding a lot of different products. What we can see though is that in the Golden Tag here, their products, the metals they have found, they are quite deep down in the ground. And we can also see that it is low grade. They only have something like 60 grams per ton of silver. So that is low grade. What there is a potential though is that if the silver price can go up and we will see a 2, 3 or 4x in the silver price, then we have a company here with some huge potential in the ground that all of a sudden will be very profitable to dig up. So it is kind of a, I wouldn't say a lottery ticket, but at least some sort of an option for a spike up in the silver price. If we see a doubling in the silver price, we can see maybe 5 or 10x here in the Golden Tag Resources, as far as I can tell. So that is a very important factor. Now, in the next many slides, there are some maps as to where the metals are located in the ground, and you can read on that yourself. I should say that the company will very shortly start a 4,500 meter drill program to increase the resources. And let's just make one thing clear. There is a lot of potential upside in this project, and we do believe that the company can increase the resources significantly. But the resources they have in ground is spread across 23 zones, and most of it is far, far away from surface. So it will require a lot of drilling to significantly expand it, at least a lot more than the current 4,500 meters they have planned. And that is definitely something that an investor should consider. So the reason why, you can speculate as to why they're not drilling more, but it is expensive since it is so deep away from the surface. So you could speculate if the management were just buying itself some time, waiting for some higher silver prices, and then maybe at a higher silver price getting ready to ship this project off to one of the majors. But we cannot be sure of that. But if you just wrap things up about the Golden Tag here, we can say that they have a large existing resource that is indeed cheap, measured by enterprise value divided by ounces in the ground. They have a lot of cash, and Eric Sprott is a partner of the story, which is absolutely on the positive side. And they are located in Mexico in a mining district where there are found a lot of resources in the ground, and Mexico is friendly towards these mines. And you can also say that the other mines around them are developing the infrastructure, so they don't have to think much about getting the products out of there. Now, the negatives are that it is low grade. Right now, it is only these around 60 grams per ton, and that is low grade and far away from surface. It will take a lot of time and a lot of money to expand the resources, and even though they have a lot of capital, I'm really, the more I think about it, I get more and more certain that this might be a project that they want to ship off to some of the majors when the price has gone up, and maybe they have found a bit more while drilling. Management, that's on the negative side as well. They haven't really been buying much on the open market. They haven't much skin in the game, as I like to see with these small companies. Now, we are still holding a little position here in the Golden Tag Resources. It is a small position, but we have it, and that is because that if the silver goes to $70, $80, $100, all of a sudden this project will be a high-grade project. And look at it as a kind of a stock option, maybe a little lottery ticket here. And as I mentioned before, if the silver price really takes off, we might see 10, 20, maybe 50x in this one stock. So the Golden Tag Resources is an interesting stock. It is not my preferred stock if I wanted to just invest in some good solid mining stocks, but it is a good option for the future if the silver price should go through the roof. Now that's about it for today from Mining Monday. Here we went through the gold price and the ETFs, the Hecla Mining, the major gold producers, and of course the Golden Tag Resources. I hope this was some sort of inspirational, motivational for you. Of course, this is not investment advice, but I'm telling you how we are investing our money and what our take on the mining sector is. Now, all of this has not been done just by me. I have my analyst. You will get the name soon, but he has been doing a lot of the, should I say digging, but at least a lot of the groundwork and resources for research for this. So that I am really grateful for. Thanks for now. Take care of yourself and your money out there, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.